Welcome and congratulations! This is the fifth and final video in the introductory Mini Professional Experience Sessions, or Mini PEs, brought to you by the STEM Equity Initiative. Once again, as you watch and listen to the video content, please take time to pause and reflect on new learning, and if possible, discuss this with your colleagues. At the end of this video, a link on the STEM Equity Initiative's website resources page will connect you to resources that will support your learning. There's also a link to a brief survey for your input. In this final mini PE, we will focus on two goals. The first goal is to understand the fourth and final indicator of NEIR, relevant. The second goal will focus on ensuring the sustainability of classroom, school, and community progress in achieving equity for all students. This is essential for achieving an equitable learning environment. Sifting through the research and the changing requirements of students, educators, and communities to create equitable learning environments can be overwhelming, particularly when you must consider the changing demographics and perspectives of the current generation in school, Generation Z. The NEIR model helps educators deconstruct the traditional model of content and pedagogy as the only inputs in a course, and helps educators reconstruct the classroom and school experience to serve all students' needs, interests, concerns, and abilities. In other words, when educators think content and pedagogy, they must also consider educational equity. When reviewing handbooks, websites, social media, school grounds, classroom spaces, and curricular content, embedding equity is an important part of the education equation. Not using a lens for ensuring students' equity or fairness is like making sure the needs of two of your children are met and assuming the third child's needs will be covered as a result. Unfortunately, the third child may be vulnerable to being left out or left behind, which can result in poor student academic and social outcomes. So how does one create equity for the needs of 20 to 30 students? In creating the NEIR model, the STEM Equity Initiative focuses on creating an environment using the four indicators that allows students to actively engage with their educators in the equity process. The fourth and final indicator, relevant, addresses students' experience of relatedness with their teachers. When educators and students collaboratively experience learning relevant to their lives through direct connections to families, community, and culture, learning moves from traditional models to situational learning. Research tells us that for most students, teaching theory and abstract ideas can be demotivating. But establishing relevance to local cases, everyday applications, newsworthy events, or global challenges can be very motivating and engaging. For decades, researchers have found that relevance is foundational for student motivation. In the 1990s, the phrase situated learning added context and culture as requirements for relevancy in the classroom. Over time, situated learning became work-based learning, case-based learning, and problem-based learning. Today, we refer to experiential learning, also called applied learning, to capture the general notion of learning by doing, applying theory to practice, or moving from thought to action. Applied learning involves collaborative learning and is an iterative process. Learning from experience informs new learning and future experience. The continuous reanalysis of the content impacts the student's experience and subsequently expands the content learning. Service learning is a type of applied learning that requires engagement with the community. Practitioners of service learning have highlighted the essential ingredient of critical reflection in relevant education as an approach that can facilitate more intentional and formalized thinking about competency development while also deepening empathy experiences. Making the course content or curriculum relevant to students' lives, particularly through service learning, gives students a context in which to apply the content that they are learning and bring it to life. Career and Technical Education provides a unique opportunity to develop service learning applications specifically. One way to do this is through community engagement. Community engagement describes the collaboration between institutions and their communities, and can result in a partnership with other schools, anywhere in the world, colleges and universities, nonprofits, local or national businesses, or state and local community agencies. Community engagement requires collaborative community school definitions of problems, solutions, and measures of success. While schools focus on the education of their students, achieving this goal through community engagement requires processes in which educators recognize, respect, and value the knowledge, expertise, perspectives, and resources of community partners. Building the capacity of students, educators, and the organizations involved to understand and collaboratively address issues of public concern is shaped by relationships between those in the school and those outside the institution that are grounded in the qualities of reciprocity, mutual respect, shared authority, and the co-creation of goals and outcomes. Such relationships are by their very nature transdisciplinary, meaning knowledge transcending one discipline, and asset-based, where the strength, skills, and knowledge of all those involved are validated and legitimized. Community engagement takes time to establish and embed in the school's culture. For career and technical education, there are likely a number of connections already in place through advisory councils, apprenticeships, internships, tours, and mentorships. Understanding what makes learning relevant goes beyond just connecting to their career goals. Broadening students' focus on their community's goals and challenges and how they can help today can be a powerful tool for engaging Generation Z students and supporting their completion. Relevant schools and classrooms also fulfill their civic purpose by connecting their traditional content to socially useful knowledge creation and dissemination. This is a powerful tool for attracting underrepresented students into non-traditional programs. This is also a useful approach for programs seeking to increase racial or ethnic populations and other underrepresented subgroups, such as individuals with physical and neuro differences. The mutually beneficial exchange of knowledge and resources in a context of partnership and reciprocity turns a traditional lesson into an opportunity for expanded learning for everyone involved. Students learn beyond basic content to a new context requiring reflection and iterative processing. How do you know an activity is relevant to students and their communities? The Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching's Community Engagement Classification provides a definition of community engagement. Using a survey or focus group can help educators measure how community partners feel about the value of students in their work and the level of reciprocity and mutual benefit that results from the activity. Community engagement increases knowledge and resources from the public and private sectors to enrich scholarship, research, and creative activity, enhance curriculum, teaching, and learning, prepare educated, engaged citizens, strengthen democratic values and civic responsibility, address critical societal issues, and contribute to the public good. Emerging research indicates relevant learning develops student leadership, problem-solving skills, a sense of social responsibility, career pathways and goals, and self-confidence. Being relevant means that the content or curriculum informs students' cognitive and affective or social-emotional skill and competency development. Relevant learning provides opportunities for students to take the content and apply it in practical ways to real-life situations that are relevant to their lives.
Pause and reflect. What business or community organizations do you currently connect to through your program, classroom, or school? How might that connection be strengthened to better support curricular content or student motivation? Are your students provided time to regularly reflect on paper or in online journals their applied learning and their engagement with the community? If so, how do their reflections deepen over time? How can relevancy deepen your learning about your students, their families, and the community to to better create an equitable learning environment in your class or school?
Creating an equitable learning environment that can better attract and retain underrepresented students from non-traditional programs and other special populations will take time and focus. But having made progress, how do we ensure the sustainability of equity in our classrooms and schools? Meet Sharon, an educator who tells her colleagues on the school equity team about a bad dream. Luckily, she realizes that her colleagues are all deeply engaged, committed, and working hard to make sure all students experience access, equity, and inclusion in CTE. Please watch. Well-intentioned projects or initiatives to improve an aspect of a school or classroom environment require the school team, administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, counselors, etc., to be both fully supportive and engaged. Without them all, the ability to influence the environment through any given project is limited in scope and sustainability. On the other hand, the team may be supportive and ready to engage, but lack the knowledge, skills, or time commitment required to achieve the desired outcome. We refer to these two characteristics as commitment to perform and capacity to perform. In order for schools to succeed in implementing the NEIR model and getting the outcomes they seek, these two critical success factors must be in place. Commitment to perform requires an openness to a new approach to equity and a sincere desire and commitment to create change. But commitment alone is not enough. Capacity to perform requires the time dedicated to understanding the value of the equitable learning environment and the requirements of integrating the NEIR model. To achieve a truly equitable learning environment to benefit all students, a school-wide effort must be able to provide the time and resources to achieve the goal.
Pause and reflect. How did Sharon's bad dream illustrate the participants' commitment to and capacity for equity? How did her current reality support their shared work? Do you feel you have the time and support needed to create an equitable learning environment in your class or school? What could help support your ideas for creating more opportunities for underrepresented students in non-traditional programs? If you picked an area of focus from the NEIR model, would it be normalizing, empowering, inclusive, or relevant efforts?
Assessing each NEIR indicator by these two characteristics, commitment to perform and capacity to perform, is critical to understanding the potential for the improvement effort to succeed and distinguishes the NEIR model for continuous improvement from other efforts that have taken place to implement classroom improvement processes. Evaluating each NEIR key indicator separately by the current environmental characteristics provides a method to review the process's level of practice or maturity for each indicator on a relative scale. For instance, a focus on inclusion at a school that has been working diligently to create a warm and welcoming environment may have a higher process maturity than normalizing or relevant, which may be newer concepts for creating equitable learning environments. Congratulations! You have finished the 5 mini PEs in this series. That's a lot of work and a lot of thinking. We hope this introduction to the NEIR model provided you with some new thinking. Remember, the model has 3 parts: the NEIR indicators, the program improvement process, and the implementers. That's you. You are the only magic bullet, the only secret sauce, and the only one who can figure out the 10 steps that work for you, your classroom, and your students. You are the superhero. Except this is no fictional story. You, our mild-mannered friend, are the one that needs to teach our career and technical education students so that our needed packages get delivered on time, our healthcare workers keep our hospitals open, our firefighters and security personnel keep our homes safe, and our building trades workers keep our water and electricity flowing to those homes. Whatever your trade, know that you, the implementer, are our superheroes. Even if the world does not see how important you are, yet. So how can we help?